Welcome back to the Midweek Fixture Podcast. It's episode 14. Today, we're tackling the January transfer window, every Premier League club's chance to fix their weaknesses. But who should they sign? Stick around as we go through all 20 clubs with the perfect player pick. So, today, I'm joined by Robbie. So, important for me, I guess, need to know who you are. Tell me a bit about yourself, who you support, anything you think they need to know.
I'm Robbie. I'm an Arsenal fan, and I just like watching football. So
Lovely. Perfect for the podcast today. So let's get cracking straight into it. Sit back, relax. Welcome back to Midweek Fixture. So I'm going to start on Arsenal. We're going to go alphabetically. We're going to give our shouts of who each Premier League club should sign this window. Potentially might cross over into next window, depending on liability of the player, because some might not be quite available this window. But yeah, Arsenal. I've only got one shout for Arsenal.
same.
Currently is injured at the moment, but it is Ibrahim Sangare from Nottingham Forest.
That's a brave shout.
Do I think will happen? I don't know, but I got some reasons why. Arsenal's current midfield lacks a bit of physicality sometimes. With Partey quite injury prone.
Yeah.
You've got Rice, but that's it really when Partey's out. And it's left you a little bit vulnerable sometimes, I'd say. And it's always good to have that second option. He's good at command in that defence midfield role. He breaks up the play and he can shield the defence.
I do hear it, but Arsenal we've got so many midfielders, especially because we're also likely to sign Zubimendi certainly for the next transfer window as well.
Yeah,
So for me, we need a striker. So I've gone with Isak because
yeah,
our two main problems we need a direct left winger that can run at players, and we need a striker. Isaac can do both. So
yeah.
even if we then sign a striker in the summer, Isaac then can play on the left wing, and he can still play more of his left forward role, which I just think Arsenal need because we create so many chances, but yeah, we can't seem to score them. Havertz and Jesus are not clinical enough to play for Arsenal, really.
Yeah, I can back that. It'll be expensive,
Yeah,
and we'll.
yeah, that's my biggest worry about is that he'll be upwards of 80
Yeah,
million, I reckon.
I think they're going to demand over 100 mil for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Which I mean, I don't blame them. He's quite important to them.
Yeah, and don't exactly need the money, so.
No, exactly. Jumping back into Sangare quickly. I've got some stats for each player. I'm going to put them over the screen, which compares Sangare to Thomas Partey. And what it's going to show is his ball recoveries, his physicality, and his passing ability. In terms of ball recoveries, he averages more tackles and interceptions than Partey does, which has a superior ability to break up the opposition attacks. Physicality, his aerial duel success make him a reliable option against set pieces, perfect for Arsenal. And his passing ability, his progressive passes, he can contribute in possession, which is perfect for Arteta's system. He's versatile. He's got a tactical fit. It's box to box. He can partner Rice extremely well. He's got press resistance, so the composure under pressure, just to evade the presses, play the passes. Only 27, which is not too old, really. He's already played Premier League football and Eredivisie football, so he's got that knowledge. Price had an injury. I still think Forest are going to demand maybe 45, 50 million quid for him.
No, to be fair, I also think price-wise, I think could be even cheaper than that because Forest have had their fair share of financial fair play
Yeah,
was go against them, so they'll probably be looking for money anyway.
yeah.
So they could be likely to sell him. To be fair,
Yeah, I mean, I'd say they could be open to selling him. Apparently, he has a release clause. I'm not sure about that. But then if you compare him to the likes of Casado, who was 115 million, or Tchouaméni, who's probably going to be about that if someone did try and buy him, Sangare is a cheap option that has that experience already, fits you perfectly.
yeah,
I don't know.
I hear it. I do hear it, but I just think we need to prioritise a striker
Yeah,
over
I agree.
everything.
I just think if you're going to go for a striker, it's going to be in the summer
Yeah,
because it's going to be whoever you go for is going to be so expensive now.
yeah.
But there is a few. Maybe Sesko is the one that's been mentioned a few times, but
he doesn't have a release clause now, which is a bit annoying
Yeah,
because I think we should just pay this 55 million release clause in the summer.
yeah. I would have. I think he would have been great for you, but
Yeah.
or Osimhen. Maybe you might move for Osimhen in the summer.
To be fair, I've heard Sky saying that that's who we're targeting for the January transfer window anyway.
Yeah. Right. Let's move on to Aston Villa. Who have you got for Aston Villa?
I've got Jared Vanthwaite because
Really interesting.
I I don't like Tyrone. I don't think Tyrone Mings is a good player. I think it's easy to upgrade on him. Jared Vanthwaite he's young, he's English, and I think he's been incredible for Everton. So I just think they should. I don't think we're too expensive either because Everton need the money as well.
Yeah. I mean,
But
he is homegrown. He's their boy.
yeah,
They're probably there. Well, I mean, what did United were going 50, 60, weren't they, in the summer? And
yeah,
Everton said no.
it will put. I reckon it'll probably be in the regions of between 40 and 60 million, which for a team like Aston Villa could be expensive.
Yeah, if they get Champions League again, then
Yeah,
they have to look at it. See, we've sort of agreed on what we say. So I've got three shouts of Villa. First of all, I thought Alex Benaya played at Villarreal with Emery, a bit of an attacking midfielder. They don't really have that, I don't think, at the moment. Fits
yeah,
the profile well. Then I thought, what about a more dynamic forward? Went with Gabriel Barbosa from Flamengo. Watkins hasn't been that great this season. Duran been unbelievable, but another option could be great for depth. If one of them gets injured, then you've got a big problem.
yeah,
But the player I went with was also a centre back. I went over to Portugal and I thought, well, Goncalo Inacio from Sporting.
yeah. He is so good to be
Yeah,
fair.
they've Villa been improving really quickly under Emery. Their ambition is to stay in Europe and compete consistently. They've really bolstered their attack midfield, but the defence, is it Champions League quality?
Konza and Mings, they're not doing it.
No, I don't think so. And then you bring in that ball player as well with Ignacio, young leader, been playing for Sporting for quite a while. I think he'd fit in perfectly.
Yeah, no, I think that's especially talking about price as well. He shouldn't be too expensive because he's not like exactly like an English or like a homegrown player.
Yeah,
So I don't think it'd be too hard to price him away from
yeah.
Sporting if they get Champions League football.
I've got it about 35, 45 million, that
Yeah,
range. I think that's what we'll go. But then if you look at his stats, we compare him to Konza and Mings. Elite passing, he's one of the most progressive passers among defenders in Europe. We can start the attacks, perfect Villa. Defensive contribution is amazing. Tackling and interceptions done show his ability to read the game, while his aerial duel stats demonstrate he's physical in the air, and he's got composure on the ball. 91% pass completion rate.
yeah. First centre back
Horrible.
yeah,
Yeah, if you compare that to Konza and Mings, Konza has 85%, Mings has 82%.
yeah,
He's left-footed, a bit more balance in there. Versatile, can play anywhere in the back four, the back three. Only 23 years of age as well. Over 150 senior appearances for Sporting. I think it's be a good option
yeah.
for Villa.
Definitely a viable shout. That's yeah,
And he's another one that has a release clause, apparently. But Liverpool, Newcastle, apparently also sniffing around him. So that could bring the price up a little bit more.
yeah, yeah.
But I think we both agree they need a centre back.
Oh, without a doubt. Mings, he was a centre back when they were in the Championship.
Yeah.
And they've upgraded every position drastically except from centre backs. So
Yeah.
I just think they
I mean,
need to upgrade the centre backs.
they tried with Diego Carlos, but he's going to
Yeah,
Fenerbahce.
Diego Carlos was good, but
Yeah. I think his injury sort of ruined
yeah,
him a little bit. So, right, on to Bournemouth. I've got about five shouts here for Bournemouth.
yeah,
One I've gone with is quite rogue, but so I started with I went Leeds United. I went let's go and get Bournemouth Wilfred Gnonto, bit of a dynamic winger,
yeah.
creativity, pace.
He was
Versatile.
one of my options was Wilfred Gnonto. I thought I thought they could have done with him.
Yeah, and then I thought will Leeds sell? It'll be quite expensive in January. They want to get back up into the Prem. Then I went, okay, what about a loan option from Chelsea? Carney Chukwuemeka. Apparently he's expected to leave due to limited game time. A bit more creativity in their midfield, physicality, and Bournemouth will be able to offer him the minutes that he needs.
Yeah.
Then I went Jonathan Bamba from Celta Vigo. They need goals because of their two strikers getting long-term injuries. He's versatile, can play on the wing, play out front, bit of flair, end product. Then I thought, what? Maybe more of an out striker they need. I looked at Florent Balogun from AS Monaco, clinical striker. He's young, but I thought, why not? Let's go with a big one. Victor Gyökeres to Bournemouth.
I just can't see them being able to afford him.
In January, no. Maybe in the summer they'll go crazy.
See, I was considering going with the striker, but they do have Enes Unal. I know they're injured at the moment. They've got Enes Unal and Evan Nilsson.
Yeah.
They are injured at the moment, but even when their replacements, they play against Newcastle. Utara went up front. I thought had a good job.
Yeah.
So for me, I went a complete different aspect. I went to look for a right back for them.
Nice.
Because in the last 3 or 4 games, they've played a different right back in each game, so they don't have a nailed-on right back. So I went to get a bit of experience in the team. He's getting old now, but Thomas Munier.
Yeah.
I think he's a good player, defensively solid. He can attack, and he'll give that bit of experience. Certainly, if Bournemouth hope to push to the next level and get European football. He's done that before. He shouldn't be too expensive because of his age. So yeah, I think they could look to go for a fullback.
I really like that shout. I think it's a really good shout. I just thought they need a striker to get Europe.
Yeah, but then against Newcastle, Kluivert, he scored 3 goals, and his third was an astonishing finish. So he could maybe do a job for them up front.
Yeah, I mean I can. Yeah. So on to Brentford. Who's your shout for Brentford?
For Brentford, this was a hard one for me. I didn't, because there wasn't an obvious position that they needed to improve on.
Yeah.
So I went for Vitinha from PSG.
Okay.
I just think they could do with another more creative centre mid.
Yeah.
They're a good team, but attacking wise, their attack force, I think is very strong.
Yeah.
With Visser and Bremo and Damsgaard, I think it's very good. So I don't think there's needing much improvement on that. And same with their defence. I couldn't think of a singular position in their defence that they needed to improve. And Vitinha, he's a creative player. I think he's very good. I think my biggest worry would be his physicality. I don't know how his physicality would fare in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But no, I think it could be, if they ever get him, I think it could be a
Very
good signing for them.
Yeah. I mean, we sort of agreed. I first went with Zaniolo.
Yeah.
That attacking wild card for Brentford. Versatile. Fits the ball play style really well. And I went, well, I mean, Mbuemo could be off in the summer. Forest have just bid for Visa, so he could be off. I don't see him leaving yet, maybe in the summer. So I went, what about a striker? I thought maybe Chelsea might go for a big striker soon. So is a move for Nicholas Jackson too ambitious for Brentford? Then I thought, yeah, that's a bit ambitious. So I thought maybe Hugo Ekitike just went to Frankfurt. Meh. So I went with a Brentford signing. We've gone into the Championship, and I've gone for Haji Wright from Coventry.
That's a good shout, to be fair. I don't watch much Coventry, but whenever I watch Team Championship, he seems like a good player.
Yeah, he's a very good player. It's a perfect Brentford sign, I say. It fits their recruitment and data-driven approach. You look at the stats, his goal threat, his strong goal scoring numbers show he's a clinical finisher. He's a great replacement for Ivan Toney, who I don't really think they've replaced yet. Buema's been really good, but they haven't got a like-for-like Toney replacement.
Yeah.
Area ability, right, physical presence makes him really good for the target sort of man style. Brentford play, long balls, crosses, work rate, high pressing numbers, bang, intensity works for Brentford. Ball carrying as well, his ability to progress the ball complements their transitional style. Also 6'4", versatile, can play anywhere across the front line. I said pressing, loads of energy, versatile. Only 26 as well. Played in Turkey, Germany, America, and England.
Yeah.
Got Champions League experience. Price wise, maybe £15 million.
Yeah, she shouldn't be too expensive coming from Coventry either.
Yeah. Would you compare that to other targets who they could go for, like Orban I've mentioned in my little plan here? Probably a bit more expensive, and he's only just moved to Hoffenheim.
Yeah.
And then other Premier League strikers like Sesko, you said is going to be expensive. A player Brentford, I don't think they could move for. So Haji Wright is that man, I think.
Nah, to be fair, I do say I think as far as Brentford signings go, he fits their
Yeah,
scouting process.
yeah. Out of this entire list we've got, I think that's, for me, is probably the most likely one that could happen.
Yeah.
Moving on now to my team, to Brighton. I have a lot of shouts here, but I said Facundo Torres, just moved to Palmeiras. He's a young
Yeah.
player, we like young players, probably not going to happen. Wehi from Marseille, we need a clinical striker. We have Welbeck, injury prone, probably coming towards the end of his career soon. Ferguson's just coming back from an injury, not really hit the ground running under Herzler. Orban as well, I've already mentioned. We also need a right back because Veltman's very good, love Veltman. Getting older, Kadioglu's injury prone. So I said Wilfried Singo from Monaco, a bit of depth. He can attack, he can defend. Great fit for Herzler. But in the end, I went with a player that people who've watched the channel know I absolutely adore. Stefanos Simas from Nuremberg.
Yeah.
He fits our recruitment strategy under Herzler, focusing on developing young talents with high potential. He fits our mould. He's only 18, 19. Nuremberg have a option to buy at the end of his loan, which is 18 mil, which they want to activate to sell him for like 25 mil. There is a lot of teams after him: Liverpool, Chelsea, Frankfurt, Newcastle. But if you look at the stats here, you can see why. Comparing him to Ferguson and Welbeck, yes, it's the Bundesliga too. Take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
His goal scoring numbers at a young age highlight his potential to develop into a prolific goal scorer. His goals per 90 is 0.64 compared to Ferguson 0.55 and Welbeck 0.22. There's a dribbling ability. He has a high number of successful dribbles per 90, which suggests he can create the chances on his own. We have a dynamic style which fits well, which for him, his dribbles completed per 90 is 3 compared to Ferguson, which is 1.8, and Welbeck is 1.4. And then his versatility, he can play left wing, striker, fits us perfectly. Fluid forward play. We like that player that's comfortable with dropping deeper, playing in the middle, moving around. 18, as I said, development and a lot of squad depth. And he'd be a perfect fit for us because our track record for developing young players. McAllister, Casado. And then you compare him with our current options. Ferguson is a bit of an alternative to Ferguson. Similar goal scoring instincts, but more dribbling, heavy style, which I think we need. Welbeck age, injury record, as I said, not a long-term option. Bring Seamas in now. He can learn from Welbeck and then be his replacement. Transfer fee, 25 million quid about. Yeah, we need a long-term striker. Bring him in, I say.
I went for a completely opposite approach. I've not been impressed with Verbruggen
Really?
as your
Okay.
goalkeeper. I think he's a decent goalkeeper, but I don't think he's really gonna stay. I don't think he's gonna stay at his level for that long. We've seen it with Brighton goalkeepers in the past. They'll do well for a bit, and then they'll set. I think for Brighton to get to the next stage of their development, I think they should sign a goalkeeper which will have that position his own for many years. So I've gone for Liverpool's backup goalkeeper, Kelleher. He's a young player. We've seen it with Brighton developing young players before. I think he's the best backup in the league by some distance, and he deserves a chance to start for a top 10 team because I do think he's that good and that he
Yeah.
can certainly take Brighton to higher levels than Verbruggen could.
I like the shout. A lot of people recently on Twitter or X have been saying that they're a bit unsure on Verbruggen.
Yeah, I think it they should sign him soon-ish because if signing a young striker, that's you can do that. Young strikers pop up every year or so, whereas a young goalkeeper, which is as good as he is, I do think
Yeah.
that they're hard to come by.
Pretty rare. Yeah, I can, but I like
Yeah,
it. See, I think the position that we really need is a centre back
yeah,
because Dunkey's. I hate to say it, he's coming to the end of his time at the
yeah,
top level. Van Heck is unbelievable. Webster's inconsistent. Igor's okay, a bit injury prone.
yeah,
So, but I didn't know who to say of a shout. Apparently, we've just made a bid for Derby's Erin Cashin,
yeah,
which is a player we've been tracking for a long time. So maybe him. Apparently, we're interested in Diamonde from Sporting, but he has like a 70 mil release clause, and that's just never going to happen.
yeah. That's pricey.
Yeah, extremely. But enough about Brighton. On to Chelsea. This was the hardest one, I'd say, because they have everyone already.
Yeah, their squad. Yeah, they've got so many players.
Yeah? Who would you say?
Um,
Who should they bring in?
So for me, it's a bit of bias because I despise Cucurella. So I've gone for them to get in Nuno Mendes.
Yes.
Attackingly very strong. He's fast, so he can get back. Defensively, very good. And their fullback, they've got Reece James, but he's injured 90% of the time.
Yeah.
They've got Cucurella, who I just don't think is very good. I
Yeah.
think if you're a team that want to be challenging for titles, you Cucurella won't do that for them.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but I did also think that they needed a goalkeeper, but I just couldn't think of a
Yeah.
goalkeeper which they could really get.
Yeah, and they also have 15 goalkeepers already.
Yeah, exactly.
That
So
one of them has to, one of the young ones has to come in and be good, I'd say.
yeah,
But
yeah,
no,
they've
I
got
think the problem with Nuno Mendes is apparently he really wants United,
yeah.
which I
Uh,
could see
I
happening.
could see him going to United, but with the state of United are in at the moment, I just don't see why many players would be risking their career to go there.
Yeah,
It, I'm gonna guess the paycheck, but yeah,
yeah, yeah. See, Chelsea, I just went big with Chelsea. First of all, I went Valverde.
yeah,
Will he leave Madrid? Probably not, but I feel that they need that more versatility, dynamism in that big game experience. Marquee signing for their rebuild would be great for them. But Jackson isn't a consistent goal scorer. I love him. I think he's great. But if you want
yeah,
to win the league, you want to challenge for titles, you need Victor Osimhen.
yeah. I think Osman would suit their system well as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't need to go in detail in Osimhen. Everyone knows Victor Osimhen and how he plays and what he's like.
Yeah,
As you said, perfect for Chelsea with Cole Palmer behind him.
yeah. That would start creating a lethal attack.
Yeah. I think Chelsea have the potential to win the league in the next few years.
Yeah, no, I see that. To be fair, I think if they start buying players in a smarter manner,
Yeah.
then certainly, because their problem over the past few years is they've been buying too many players
Yeah.
that they don't get a chance to gel
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
play well together.
I think Maresca, if they give Maresca time, he can develop them into one of the best teams in England.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Right, Crystal Palace now. I'll let you start this one off.
'Cause, just think they need a replacement for Kamada. I don't think Kamada's good enough.
Yeah.
So I've gone for Ward-Prowse. He's
Ward-Prowse.
He's Premier League proven.
Yeah.
Set pieces, obviously, amazing. It shouldn't be too expensive. He's getting old.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah, he is English, so there'll be a bit of English tax, but I don't think it should be too much. But I just think he's Ward-Prowse, very good player.
Yeah.
and he can sit a bit deeper, and he can play
Yeah,
as a cam as well. So I think he'd be a good option for them.
it's quite a Palace signing as well, I'd say.
Yeah, I could definitely see it happening.
Yeah, I agreed with you. I went with a midfielder. First of all, I thought Koku from Benfica. Bit of crazy creativity, goals, bit of technical ability, leadership experience as well. Then I thought maybe a striker, young striker. They need a long-term striker because
Yeah,
Edward ain't doing it. He's on loan at Leicester and never done it for Palace. Mateta is his purple patch is done. So I went with Fabio Silva as a potential striker option on loan at Las Palmas at the moment. Would he leave Wolves? Maybe. Don't see him being in Wolves' long-term plans. But I went with a Kamada replacement as well. If they can get this player on a loan with an option to buy, fantastic. I'm going to read my description first and then tell you who the player is. They've built a reputation for developing talented young players like Zaha, Elise, Eze. Zaha and Elise are gone. Adding a creative spark into their midfield and attack is crucial. The 19-year-old Turkish wonder kid could be the perfect addition to take Palace's attack to the next level. Arda Güler.
I think my biggest concern with that is, would he be willing to take a step down from being at Madrid to being at Palace?
That's where the mindset comes in. If he
Yeah.
struggled for game time at Madrid, really,
Yeah,
and he's had a few injuries. If he wants to really progress his career, I think a loan move to Palace is a great step for him.
I think for his career it would do well. They've got a history of developing young attackers. Um, I on a loan move is plausible. For them to buy, I think it could be much harder.
Yeah, I think the loan with an option, high option
Yeah,
will be is. I mean, imagine Eze and Güler
yeah,
behind Mateta. I mean, that's kind of a scary attack.
yeah. Because Mateta's clinical. He is a very
Mhm.
clinical striker.
Yeah. I mean, if it happens, fair play to Palace. I mean, Brighton signed Ansu Fati on loan. Why can't
Yeah, no,
Palace
that's
sign
true.
Arda Güler on loan? Moving on now to Everton. I mean, we've probably agreed on the position here because I don't think this man cuts it anymore. If Everton want to be challenging in the Premier League, they need a new striker.
Yeah, yeah,
See, I said Willian. Apparently, they've been offered him on a free. Not really a striker. Bit of experience though. Che Adams potentially Premier League experience. Has just moved to Torino though. He's proven. But in the end, I went with a player that's currently playing for Al Shabab. He's on loan at Dhamaka FC, so it might be a bit difficult to get a move done. But Habib Diallo,
yeah. He'd be good. He'd be a good option for
yeah.
Everton.
I mean, they've struggled. Consistent goal scoring. Calvert-Lewin's always injured. Doesn't consistently score. He's 28 years old, Diallo, so it's sort of probably a mid-term signing. He's playing in Saudi Arabia. He's reliable and he's an immediate solution. Physicality suits Moyes. Aerial prowess suits Moyes, and he's got finishing ability, which
Yeah,
is exactly what Everton need. You look at his stats. This is Diallo for Strasbourg in 22-23. Goals per 90, 0.63, compared to Mope and Calvert-Lewin, while he was at Everton. 0.42 for Calvert-Lewin and 0.1 for Mope.
yeah,
20 goals in 37 Ligue 1 games is not bad. In the air, duels 1 per 90 is 4.1, which is a bit less than Calvert-Lewin's, but Calvert-Lewin is a monster in the air. And he's consistent.
yeah.
In terms of
So
availability, I don't know, because obviously he's on loan. But
yeah,
surely
it could be hard to get him.
surely it can't be that expensive for a player from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. So for me, I went down a slightly different angle.
Yeah.
I still thought they needed an attacker.
Yeah.
So I've gone with Borja Signs from Norwich.
Yeah, I thought that would come at some point.
He deserves his Premier League move. And I know his attitude, like in and around Norwich, is he is wanting a move out of Norwich.
Yeah.
He's great player, on the ball, very good finishing. I think he's at the moment. I think he's joint top scorer.
Yeah.
in the Championship. But I think he could certainly when it comes to battling relegation, he would without a doubt keep them up.
Yeah,
Um, and set piece takers, I think Everton could do with a good set piece taker.
yeah. I mean that suits him perfect, doesn't it? Big man in the
Yeah,
box, cross it in.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean I can back that sign, and I do think he will get a Premier League move in the summer.
Yeah, no, I think I just wonder what team it will be though because I know he's got a bit of an ego, so I think he could be pushing for a team where he may not get as much game time.
Yeah, yeah, maybe a Newcastle.
Yeah, yeah. Certainly, if Newcastle get rid of sell Isaac anyway.
Yeah, maybe even maybe if Fulham, Bournemouth get or Forest get
I
Champ
think it'll be a
Europe.
very Fulham. I think we're very Fulham signing
Yeah,
because they've signed a lot of players which were decent in the Championship
yeah.
and players which were good in the Prem but didn't quite cut it.
Speaking of Fulham, we'll jump straight onto Fulham now. Who is your Fulham shout?
I think they needed a DM, so I went with
Okay.
Edson Alvarez from West Ham
Okay, I like that shout.
because I like Edson Alvarez. I think he's a good player,
Yeah,
and honestly, I just think he's too good for the state that West Ham are in at the moment.
yeah,
Um, Fulham Fulham could do with a DM. I think that's probably the key that's lacking to them pushing for the European spots.
yeah,
Because if you look at their attack, they've got Iwobi's very good. Smith Rowe is so good.
yeah,
So I think their attack's fine. They just need a bit of stability in midfield,
yeah.
which I think Edson Alvarez is going to give them.
Yeah, I like that. See, I now agree, thinking about it, I agree they need a DM. But my approach for Fulham was, I think there's a good chance they can get Europe. So I've gone with what will push them to that level to help them in Europe now. And they get them in early to develop them and let them settle. First of all, I went with the centre-back. I went with Jonathan Tah from Bayer Leverkusen. He's commanding
Tar's
centre-back.
very good.
Physical, Bundesliga pedigree, suits Marco Silva's style perfectly. Then I went, what about a marquee signing? Currently up in the air whether he's going to sign a new contract at Wolves. Would he move to Fulham if they get Europe? Matthias Cunha.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, that's a marquee signing. He's been linked with a move away, bolstered their attack. But in the end, I went with a player that I've never heard of before, to be honest. I stumbled across him on some research. And I went with Goncalo Borges from Porto. An exciting 23-year-old winger. Fulham have shown under Marco Silva they like hard work, defensive organisation, and counter-attacking transitions. To sustain their success, add a bit of a dynamic attacker. Borges, 23-year-old winger, could develop into a superstar. Be good for his career, be good for Fulham as well. Look at his stats, comparing him to Harry Wilson and Willian when he was at Fulham. Dynamic attacker. His dribbling, progressive carries and key passes demonstrate his ability to break down defensive and create chances. Direct threat, goal contributions highlight his own product, which is complement their current options, and his work rate, as I said, his high pressure numbers work perfectly for Fulham. And then apparently 12 to 18 million. Porto are known for selling players and then them being superstars. High
Yeah.
potential as well. It's pretty low risk signing, high reward. Perfect for them as well.
No, I can hear it. To be fair, I don't know too much on the player. But like I said, Porto normally have good players to sell.
Yeah. It's always a difficult one when teams are perhaps overperforming.
Yeah, because
Because,
it's not like
yeah,
a specific position that they need to improve in.
yeah, nothing jumps out for them like they need to do that in January.
Yeah,
Maybe in the summer, because then you can see where they are. But moving on now to a team that is definitely not in the Europe conversation, and that is Ipswich. My research has led me down a very Leeds United route here. First of all, I went with Joe Gelhardt. A bit
yeah,
of competition for Delat, but he's on loan at Hull, so probably don't see that one happening in January. Then I thought maybe a centre-back, and I have gone with a centre-back. I thought maybe Ethan Ampadu. Defensive, he's solid, versatile, can play midfield and at the back. Perfect for them. Then I went Joe Rodon, potentially a move. I don't know. He's only recently just signed for Leeds. And then I went with the player that Leeds sold in the summer to the French league. They sold him to Toulouse, and I went with Charlie Cresswell.
I can hear that. To be fair,
I mean, they've coming up to the Prem, Ipswich, fantastic, but they need that defensive reinforcement
yeah,
back to compete at the highest level. Charlie Cresswell's only 22, English centre back, played in England, played in the French league. It's a perfect addition to them. He's young, physical, he's dominant. He was in the Championship. All he has Prem experience, and then statistically, you can see the stats on the screen. He is levels above Wolf Dean and Burgess. I think they're great defenders, but Cresswell would add that little bit more. Dominant in the air, solid defensively, comfortable on the ball, which suits Kieran McKenna. He's a ball player. And in terms of availability, maybe he has just moved in the summer, so maybe a bit more than the 8 to 12 million I've said, but I don't think he'd be over the top expensive, and they're definitely affordable for Ipswich.
yeah. I can hear that. For me, I went down a similar route. I think they needed to ensure their defence,
Yes.
but I went with the goalkeeper because I don't think Muric is good enough.
Okay.
In the Prem, he's too mistake prone.
Yeah.
And I've gone with James Trafford from Burnley
That's a nice shot.
because so far this season, Burnley in the Championship, they've conceded 9 goals,
That is crazy, isn't it?
which is it's ridiculous. I mean, granted his time in the Prem wasn't the best.
Yeah.
But he's what 22, 23 years old
Yeah.
now. He's got a lot of improving to do. I think under Kieran McKenna, he could improve a lot. I mean, he's done that with a lot of players, like for example, Leif Davies and players like that. When
Yeah.
he came in, that he elevated them to the next level, and I just feel he could do that with James Trafford.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good shout. I mean, Walton's been playing at the moment for Ipswich. He's
Yeah,
an okay keeper. I don't think he's Premier League.
no,
I like
he also conceded. I watched the game against Man City the other day. Just wasn't too impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Walton
But
would be a good number 2 in the Prem, but
yeah, no, I can hear that.
and then another relegation candidate just come up, Leicester City. Who have you gone for Leicester?
This is a bit of a rogue shout.
Oh, I'm great.
I've gone for Carl Walker-Peters from
Okay.
Southampton.
Cheap on a free.
Yeah, I think they could get him for cheap. I think I think they need a fullback. I think their fullback options, they're not the best. They're okay there, but I think Carl Walker-Peters is very good.
Yeah.
My biggest worry is that I think he could play high levels
Hmm.
than at Ipswich.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be looking at it going, he could be playing potentially for Aston Villa, or
Yeah.
maybe playing for Fulham or
Yeah.
Brentford or a team like that. So on the player's side, there's a lot more in it for the club than there is for the player.
But then would he want to play under Ruud van Nistelrooy? I
Yeah,
think that's going to give Leicester some pull coming into
yeah,
the windows.
yeah.
But
Because Ruud van Nistelrooy certainly the player that he was
yeah,
as well could entice players to wanting to learn from him.
100%. See, I sort of agree with you that they need shoring up at the back. I went with a Man City player that's on loan at Norwich. I went with Callum Doyle to start with. Shore up the defence, ball playing, he's left-footed, and he's a long-term solution. Probably hard to get him away from Norwich at the moment because of the loan.
Yeah,
But then I went with any team, sort of similar to your Ipswich thinking, any team that want to compete in the Prem need a unreal goalkeeper. So I went with Dominic Livakovic from Fenerbahce.
that's a good shout. Fenerbahce, very good European team as well. And with the Premier League's pull, I think that could.
He's 30, so maybe not too expensive. He has quite a few years left him as a goalkeeper. His shot stopping is unbelievable. Distribution is great, which I'm sure Van Nistelrooy is going to want to play a possession-based style next season if they stay up. And he's just clutch. He's ready for the Prem. He has leadership, big game experience in the World Cup. He was crucial for Croatia in the 2022 World Cup. Crucial penalty saves against Japan and Brazil. European experience, maybe 10 to 15 million pounds, which is definitely affordable for Leicester.
Yeah, yeah.
without a doubt, I'd say. Moving on now. Back up to the top, very top of the league. Liverpool.
Um,
It's a difficult one.
yeah.
I, first of all, thought a centre-back. Maybe Mark Gahey. Maybe Hincapié from Leverkusen. But in the end, I went with, let's get a Salah replacement in now. I don't think this happens in January. I think it happens in the summer. And that is Brian and Mbeumo.
I can see it happening. Very good shout. I think if that does happen though, that will 100% be the nail in the coffin for Salah to leave.
Yeah.
Which I think could be either a mistake or a very brave decision from Liverpool's board.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think they need a new left back.
Yeah. Okay.
Robson,
Not cut.
he's not cutting it anymore.
Yeah.
He was very good, but his time's passed.
Yeah.
So, I've gone for a Man City target in Cambiasso.
Okay. I like that.
Cambiasso he's very, very good. He can both attack, he can defend, and I think he's been one of the best fullbacks in Serie A this season.
I agree. What is it? City apparently going to bid like 60, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's between 60 and 65 million they're bidding for him.
I mean, it's City though. It's City, isn't it? It's City.
That's why getting into bidding wars for City, you're not going to win because they've got an unlimited amount of money that they can spend on players. So
Brighton tried it with Vitor Reed, and City just went, no, there you go, have that. Well, you're never going to win, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
So far, a question for the audience: which of these transfer suggestions do you think is spot on, if any? And which player do you want your club to sign in January? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget, coming up next week, maybe the week after, if you love Transfer Talk, next video is going to be breaking down, hopefully, Man City's transfer with a City fan. We shall see. Now, talking of Man City, we'll move straight on to Man City. They've already made signings this window. 2 centre-backs in, Reece, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce the other centre-back's name because I will get it wrong. And Omar Mamouche looks to be coming in. And as you just said, Cambiasso. So, a rogue shout from me maybe. None of these are going to happen in January. Zaire Emery, they need a young player in midfield. Gabby Baker, another young player. All De Bruyne replacements because he's coming towards the end of his career. And then I thought, City have the money in the summer. Florian Wirtz.
I think Florian Wirtz is going to be expensive, but like I said, City do have the money, and I think he will be worth the money. He is just a great young player. And I mean, won the league unbeaten with Leverkusen last season.
And I think if he's going to go anywhere, it's going to be City.
I think it'll be between either City or Liverpool.
Yeah, maybe 100 million.
Yeah, I think he'll be there or thereabouts.
But City can afford it.
They can afford it, and also Leverkusen don't need to sell him.
Yeah.
They don't need the money, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's the perfect De Bruyne replacement.
Yeah.
Who have you gone with City? Similar thinking, different?
I've gone for different thinking. I think they should get a fullback in. Because Gvardiol, he's been okay. Not the best. And I think Walker's basically out the door already.
Yeah. AC Milan loan deal done today, apparently.
Yeah, I think so. So I have gone for Theo Hernandez.
Okay.
I mean, we saw when they had the what's his name?
I know who you're on about.
The one that went to Saudi Arabia, the fullback.
Cancelo?
Cancelo, yeah, that's it. They're both very attacking fullbacks.
Yeah.
I think Hernandez is better at defending than Cancelo was.
Yeah.
I think that's, for me, is the biggest difference between them. But they can both attack, and Hernandez is very good at defending.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they've been cutting him too many times.
Yeah.
Is when they've been caught out on the break, and Walker's not been good enough. So I think to replace Walker would be a good shout for Hernandez.
I agree. We'll get on to Hernandez a bit later. I have mentioned Hernandez's name for a different club, which we will cover in a minute. So we'll go more in depth on Hernandez in a couple of shouts. So next up, United, probably the team that need the business the most.
Yeah.
Who have you gone with for United?
I think they need a centre back.
Do
So
you? They've got
I
to
think
Euro.
I'm not a fan of De Ligt. I think he's massively overhyped because when he was a younger player, he was a brilliant youngster. But I just think now he's not improved from when he was 19. So I think they should get Murillo from Nottingham Forest.
That's going to be money.
It'll be a lot of money. It will be expensive. But I mean, United.
Yeah.
They spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think Murillo, he won't have a reason to leave Nottingham Forest.
Yeah. I mean, he's just signed a new deal.
He's just signed a new deal for them. So it's more. I think he'll certainly benefit United.
Yeah.
More than anyone else, really.
Yeah.
But he's a good player on the ball, very good. He can take the ball forwards. He can pass. He can even shoot. I think he's a very good player, but I just think United need to shore up in their defence.
Okay, I have a similar sort of agreement. I thought maybe midfield first. I wanted Thuram from Juve, available for probably quite cheap apparently. That would work great alongside Mainu. Then I went, no, they definitely need a defender. Koundé potentially. Pavard wouldn't be too expensive. But I looked at the way Amorim wanted to play United when I watched them play Brighton the weekend, and he wants to play a back three with wing backs. They don't really have any wing backs. So I think they can make a move. Again, a lot of Bayer Leverkusen players in this list. Jeremy Frimpong.
I think Jeremy Frimpong would work really well. I think Ronaldo could do well for United. But I think the problem for United is with the state of their club, there's no players no longer have a reason really to join them besides the amount of money that they could get from it. So I think for their careers, it would be better for them to go elsewhere. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, first of all, the Frimpong-Ronaldo wing-back partnership would be the best in the league.
Yeah. But we saw it at Leverkusen.
It's money. If they want money, then United's the way to go.
Exactly. United or Chelsea, they'll pay an unholy amount of money for them.
I do think Amorim's going to get United competing again, though. It's really difficult to play a wing-back system with no wing-backs and a back three with no real centre-backs that can play in a back three.
Yeah.
So once he has a window to get players to suit him...
If he can stay there, if he can stay in the job for long enough, then yes, he can get them back competing. Yeah. But I think United's board, they're going to sack him too early.
Yeah.
I think they're going to see not instant improvement and then sack him.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very United thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to Newcastle, I think there's one position that sticks out, them needing reinforcements in. But I'm going to let you jump on it first and see what you think.
I've gone for a Brighton player. I've gone for Minter.
Back to Newcastle.
Yeah. I think to replace Jacob Murphy.
Okay.
It's Jacob Murphy, good player. He's getting on a bit, and the difference between him and then Isaac and Gordon, I think it's massive. I think those two, Isaac Gordon, very good players, and then he's on the right wing. He gets involved, but he's clean, just not as good as the other two.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see Minte leaving anytime soon, and if he did, it's going to be for a lot of money.
Yeah, I think Brighton definitely have a history of charging a lot of money for their players.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they'll be able to afford him. I mean, they've got a lot of money.
I mean, if they sell Isaac, then they're...
Yeah, if they sell Isaac, they could... Yeah.
I
think if they sell Isaac, they'd try and buy a striker to replace him.
Yeah. But if they go cheaper, then they've got a bit of money to play with.
Yeah. They do, to be fair.
But see, for Newcastle, I love Lewis Hall. I think he's great. But he's sort of the only proper left-back option they've got. I don't even think he's a left-back. I think he's better in midfield.
Yeah.
So I went with a left-back. I thought a realistic option, Kieran Tierney from Arsenal.
Yeah,
Need that depth at the back, bit of energy. He's quite reliable, not extremely reliable. He's quite reliable. But then I
yeah,
thought Newcastle, big money, Theo Hernandez.
yeah. No, I
But
could see that, to be
I'll put
fair.
the stats over so you can see exactly what Robbie was talking about earlier, how good he is defensively and in attack. But comparing him to Burn and Matt Target, he's levels
Yeah,
above both of them.
yeah,
I mean, he'd be expensive. He's 27, which is the peak. He probably costs like 70, 80 million quid easily.
yeah. And for defenders, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, especially for a fullback.
Yeah,
But he can attack, he can defend. He's dynamic, he has experience, he's at his peak. It'd be a statement signing, and he fits tactically. And he's an elite defender.
yeah.
So,
No, that's a very good shout.
I mean, I don't see it happening, but it could happen.
Yeah,
It would be a very Newcastle way to go if they get Europe again, I think. Moving
yeah,
on to another team that are fighting for Europe, fighting for Champions League, perhaps unexpectedly for some, but they have spent a lot of money, brought in a lot of players in recent seasons. So I don't think they need too much, but that is Nottingham Forest. I will start. I thought maybe an attacker, a striker. They have Chris Wood, but that's sort of all they have at striker, I think. So they need
yeah,
a proven goal scorer to a bit of competition for Wood, and I've gone with Boulaye Dia. He's on loan at Lazio, so that might point more towards a summer move, but I think he would provide that competition and depth that they need. But then I thought, they have Wood, would they move for a striker now? So I went with the right back.
ooh,
I like Ola Aina, sort of all they've got though. You can never
yeah.
have too much depth. So I went with them bringing a player back, and I went with Jed Spence.
I think that Jed Spence, very good shout. I can't see Tottenham selling him anytime soon though because of how many injuries
Yeah,
they do have. Um, but that's Jed Spence. He's a good player, and he helped get them promoted.
yeah.
So
I mean, if Forest comes sniffing for him, I think it'd be a no-brainer for him to go back.
yeah,
Statistically, compared Jench at Tottenham to Aurea Williams, look, you can see the stats on the screen. He's levels above in pretty much everything, especially going forwards, which I
yeah.
think would help Forest massively. But who have you gone for Nottingham Forest?
For Nottingham Forest, I've gone with João Neves from PSG
Nice, nice shout.
because I look at the team and there's nowhere that they really need to because like they're overachieving. So there's nowhere that they
Yeah,
really need to improve on. But I looked at their DMs and I think they're the weakest in their out of their team really.
okay,
And João Neves in like 16 games this season already has 7 assists
yeah,
from playing in a deeper position. So I think he could do something.
yeah.
For Nottingham Forest.
I mean, they would probably should be able to afford him in maybe not January, definitely summer. I think if they get Champions League, they'll have money.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
With the
like.
Champions League money, they should be able
Yeah,
to
I
afford him.
like the rogue shouts. I think that's what you need if you're going to compete in Europe. You need that
Yeah,
big money signing.
you need to be brave in the transfer market.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on now to Southampton. I mean, they're going down.
Yeah,
No doubt about it. So, what have you gone with? Who have you gone with? Give me your reasons.
I don't know if they'll be able to get this player.
Yeah.
It's far fetched, but Wilfred Gnonto,
Okay.
from Leeds, very very good player. He's been tearing it up in the Championship. And even when he was in the Prem, he was too good. I always thought he was too good to go down with Leeds. I
Yeah.
thought he would have got a move away then.
Yeah.
But I mean, for Southampton, it would probably be too hard for them to get him, especially because they're going to get relegated.
Yeah.
They don't really have the you know who they sign. I don't think they'll stay up now.
Yeah. I agree.
So I think if Gnonto was to leave Leeds, he would go to I reckon he'd either go to Italy or top 10 Premier League team.
Yeah, I don't see him dropping lower than top 10 Prem.
No, neither do I.
He has
So
that ability.
it's a bit of a fortunate shout, but if they could get him,
Yeah.
it would be, yeah.
See, I was considering a striker for Southampton because they've just loaned out Brereton Diaz to Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Really weird. I went with a player
I
that,
don't know why they did that.
yeah, really weird. I've gone with a player that's in League One, plays for Birmingham. They need a physical forward to compete in the Prem, strong in the air. He can lead the line really well. He used to play for QPR. Lyndon Dykes.
Oh, okay. No, no, I could see that, to be fair.
He has just moved to
Um,
Birmingham, so I don't know. But the player I actually went with was a defender. Do I think they can get this player? Probably not. I went with Rico Henry,
yeah,
Brentford. He's currently injured, and I don't know. I like him. I think he's a great player. Will he stay at Brentford? I don't know.
yeah,
And I think he would work very well for Southampton.
yeah. I think he's. I just think he's too good for Southampton. I
Yeah.
don't see him dropping down that many levels.
I agree, but it's sort of the Southampton's a difficult one because you're looking at
Yeah,
players. They need to bring players in now to try and stay up, but they're just not
yeah.
going to stay up. So you're a bit like
But
they
it's
go
like they're
down.
fighting a lost cause, really.
100%. Yeah. Moving on now to your rivals, to Tottenham. Uh,
Tottenham, Tottenham was hard.
yeah.
Um, so I went with a goalkeeper.
Okay. Yeah.
I went with Di Gregorio,
Yeah.
from Juventus. He's been so good for Juventus. He's good at coming to claim crosses, which I think they lacked a bit, certainly from corners. He's good at commanding his box, and he's decent at shot, and he's pretty good shot stopper.
Yeah.
So I think they could do that. But for Tottenham, it was hard because of how many injuries they have.
Yeah. They need everything.
They need, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was torn between going for a centre back, but no, in the end I went with Gregorio.
See, that's good because I went for a centre back. I thought Pershers from Torino. They need that commanding centre back, shore up in their defence. He's physical, composed, play out from the back. But in the end, I went back to the old trusty Bayer Leverkusen and went with Tapsoba.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a
Tapsoba's a good shout.
very Spurs signing. He's only 25. He's long term. I mean, he could play in a 3 or a 4 because Van der Ven, Romero, maybe 50, 60 million pounds.
Yeah,
And if Tottenham want to compete, they need to spend that money.
no,
Levy needs
I
to
think,
spend that
I
money.
think it should. Yeah, I don't. He's too stingy
Yeah,
with who he's buying, and the owners are getting what they deserve with their current state that they're in. They've not they've not funded the managers enough.
no,
So it doesn't matter what manager they get in, if they keep funding them the same that they've been doing with Ange, they'll just keep getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. 100%. Now, a team that are definitely underachieving, West Ham United.
So, you go.
First of all, I mean, they've got Graham Potter in. They need a striker. Antonio obviously had that really bad accident. Won't be back
Yeah.
for a long time. Fulkrug ain't cutting it, and he's always injured. So I thought maybe Jonathan David would suit Potter's
Yeah.
style. He likes that movement. He's pretty clinical. Maybe in midfield, because you said Alvarez to Fulham. Maybe Yusuf Fofana, just gone to AC Milan. Probably a bit ambitious in the midfield. Then Amin Adli from Leverkusen, currently injured though, but West Ham need a bit more creativity and flair in that attacking midfield to play complement Kudus as well. But in the end, I went with a player that plays in Spain for Las Palmas.
Oh.
I went with Alberto Molero. 21-year-old Spanish attacking midfielder. He's a rising star in European football. He has his combination of creativity, technical ability and versatility makes him a perfect sign-in for West Ham as they want to strengthen their squad, useful talent that's capable of competing in the Premier League and getting them back into Europe. His ability to break down offences would complement Potter's style perfectly and complement West Ham's more traditional physical, direct style of play. Look at his stats on the screen compared to Paqueta and Ward-Prowse when he was at West Ham. levels above in a lot of stats. Elite ball progression. He's a creative playmaker, and he contributes defensively as well, which is perfect for West Ham and Graham Potter. 25 to 30 million pounds, the signing that I want to see happen.
I think that'd be a very good signing for West Ham. I've gone down a similar route in that they need a striker.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they've tried to replace Antonio for the last 5-6 seasons,
Yeah,
and he always ends up finding his way back in the team.
Yeah.
So I've gone for Porto striker on Meridian.
Okay.
But he's big, he's strong. I think it seems like a typical West Ham signing.
Yeah.
He's very clinical in the box. There's not much more to say. I think he would suit their team really well.
I feel like they will get a striker, but I feel like they're holding off for Evan Ferguson on loan at the end of the window.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. Potter wants him back.
Yeah. I just can't see them ever being able to afford him though.
No chance.
Like to buy him permanently.
Yeah, will demand hundreds.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, final team now. Moving on to Wolves. I will let you start this one off. I think Wolves are a difficult one because they have a good squad, but they're just performing awfully at the moment.
Yeah, I can't find who I've. Give me a sec.
Right, while you're finding that, I will jump on it then.
Okay.
First of all, I've gone attack for Wolves because Cunha could be off. Ludovic Blas from Rennes. They need that more attacking creativity, goals from midfield. He offers flair, vision, goal scoring potential, deep positions. Then I went, we'll go over striker. They have Larson, big striker, maybe someone to compete with him. Chuba Akpom seems like a very Wolves signing for me. They need that firepower, Ever Rizzi's breakout star. But then I went, marquee signing for Wolves. This player is going to leave Manchester United. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. You've got Dortmund and Barcelona sniffing around, but Marcus Rashford on loan.
That is a very good shout. I think he would suit Wolves. He would suit Wolves well. And for me, I forgot to include Wolves, but I've thought of a player they could get. Again, bit of a rogue shout. I'll be very surprised if they can get him. But he plays for Chelsea.
Okay.
And I think it'll be Nkunku.
Nkunku.
Because Chelsea fans have started to turn on him.
Yeah.
He's fallen out of favour with the managers. He's not kicked on to what people would have expected from him. And with the amount of players Chelsea have, they could be inclined to let him go for a reasonable fee.
Yeah.
I think he's still a very good player. He would fit in Wolves very well.
Yeah.
He's playing alongside Cunha. So yeah, I think if Wolves could get him, I think he could do a good job.
Yeah.
There.
So yeah, I think just Wolves need that marquee player really.
Yeah, because their teams, they've not got a bad team.
No, their team
a lot of their players are good. A lot of their players are good players.
Yeah.
There's very few where you can look at and think, they're not good enough.
Yeah.
They're all, even this season, they're not even, the players themselves aren't even performing that badly.
Yeah.
There's something not right about them.
Yeah, I agree. Well, there's 40 players we think every Premier League club should sign this January. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments if we nailed it or we missed the mark. Don't forget, hopefully the City transfer roundup is coming soon in the next few weeks. Subscribe to stay in the loop. Thanks, Robbie, for coming on. Love discussing that. Love some of your shouts, the rogue ones especially. And yeah, I will see you next week for another episode. Hopefully, loads more guests coming on. Hope you enjoyed this long episode. We love doing the long episodes. And yeah, adios.